Hi, I'm Jessica.
I'm Emmalynn.
And we are coming at you today with a medium-sized book haul, I would say. But this has been books we've purchased or been sent since like Mother's Day-ish, we'll say.
Yeah.
So we thought it was time to, have a show and tell. So we separated our hauls into genres. So I think we should start out with our favorite genre, which is fantasy, and that's what we have the most of.
So, okay, I'll start with a book we were sent. This is The Thorns Remain by, I don't know, I don't know. Is there supposed to be like a period? Is it
No,
J?
it's all together. Harwood. Yeah, we're just gonna go with Harwood.
And guess what? I know nothing about this book.
But it's really
Are we
pretty.
surprised? But look at that cover. We were sent this by HarperCollins. All I know is that this is set in 1919. Some fae, human world mix-ups.
What more
it
do you need to know?
seems,
You had me at fae.
in France. And
Fae and France.
that's all I need to know. Honestly, I just keep hoping for more like 12 Dancing Princesses retelling, and I know that's not this, but the cover
it could
gives me
be.
the vibes, and
could be.
that's all I need. Vibes.
Yeah.
So yeah, we'll see.
It's giving. Okay. The first book I'm going to talk about is Grave Mercy by Robin Lefevers, I believe is how you say her name. Now, I bought this book a long time ago in the uglier cover, and then I saw this one and that the cover had been redone, and I'm like, suddenly I'm motivated to read this, but only if it's this cover. So I bought this cover. I'm going to be buying the second one very soon. I really liked it, but it's like a historical fiction fantasy about, okay, if you have read Vespertine or know what Vespertine is about, it's like Vespertine and what did I say had a baby? Vespertine and something historical. I cannot think. I don't know. It's like what Vespertine could have been. This book is, yeah, this book is way better. It's about a group of girls that live at a convent, and their convent's mission is to serve death, and so in serving death they kind of like help aid death fulfill his will. So they kind of like see death as a god of old, and they're basically assassins for death. And it's set during the 15th century, and so there's a lot of like political intrigue going on, a lot of potential wars brewing over France and Brittany. And yeah, it was very interesting. There is a slow burn romance that is not a huge part of the book, but enough part of the book where if you like romance, you'd probably be drawn in by it.
Okay.
On to the next book.
I'm going to talk about another book we were sent, and this one Mother is really wanting to read. It's called The Embroidered Book by Kate Hartfield, and this is about Marie Antoinette and her sister. That's all I got for you.
They find a book of spells. I think it like helps them survive their like arranged marriages somehow, or I don't know. I just really love Marie Antoinette. Ever since I watched the movie Marie Antoinette with Kirsten Dunst when I was in like junior high or high school, the soundtrack is like life-giving, but the costumes, the food, it's so good. And so now every time I think of Marie Antoinette, I think of that movie. So I think it's gonna be a good time. It's a little beefy,
like over 600 pages.
and
the font is.
It doesn't come out until when?
August 1st.
August 1st. But if you're into historical fiction with some sprinkles of fantasy, I think it would be good. Okay, this book, Emmalynn and I will probably both be reading.
Yes.
And the reason I bought this was because Carrie Can Read was talking about how if you love the dragons of Fourth Wing and you wanted more, which I did because Fourth Wing was not it for me, but that's okay, that you should read Fireborn by Rosario Munda. And all I know is this is about dragons. I don't know anything else. I haven't even read the back of the book. I just know that dragons are involved. And that's all I need to know.
That's all I want to know.
Yeah. What more do you need to know?
Sounds like
honestly?
anything would be spoiled.
Yeah.
Which is my excuse for being ignorant.
I'm not going to look at it.
Okay, next we have Chain of Gold. I talked about this in our mid-year freakout tag for most beautiful book, and I know nothing about this. I'm collecting Cassandra Clare books,
But not reading them.
Until I can read all of them. You know, I need something to binge after my Throne of Glass
That's
hangover.
true.
But we have this beautiful spine. The back is different, and then this is printed on. So I was talking about, you know, if there's a book you really don't like that's the same size as this, you just
cover it
put
up.
this on, leave this out.
Give it a new outfit.
Yeah. And it has some super cute fan art or character art in it. But
That is cute. I didn't see that.
I just
That's a
half
good
books
find.
price.
Half
Pick
price
up
books.
half price books. Half of books of the year. Best find. $12.
Oh, it's, look. It was a UK book. That's why the cover's better.
So true. But I almost wonder, like, was this an owl crate or something?
Probably.
Like, there's no way you could get this in the UK as like your equivalent to
Maybe.
Barnes and Noble, or I'm booking it.
Maybe.
What is?
I don't know.
Meanwhile, Barnes and Noble is like exclusive edition. We have a different color hardcover.
Exclusive content. No, it's not. Okay. This book is A Darker Shade of Magic by V.E. Schwab. I loved the Vicious duology. That's what it's called, right?
I think that's what
Yeah. Yeah. Vicious and Vengeful. Yeah. I loved it, and so I wanted to read this, but I am so upset that because she's coming out with a fourth book, she's changing the covers. So now if you buy the fourth book, it's not going to match all of these, and I like these covers better. They just look more, I don't know, like comic booky. I like the vibes of them. But all I know is this is about like different levels of London that operates on different magic systems or something like that. I don't know. I don't know a whole lot about it. I just know that it's V.E. Schwab, and so I want to read it.
What more do you need to know? Okay, next we have some more books. I'm collecting like Infinity Stones, and that is the Heroes of Olympus
Oh my gosh,
series.
there's 5 too.
Yes. And I just want to read all the Rick Riordan books that are part of the Percy Jackson fandom, because I don't really care about anything other than that. I need more Percy Annabelle content, and that's why I'm reading these. All I know is this follows Jason, Piper, and Leo, and I found out what this book was about when I read the first chapter yesterday.
Fair.
But on the inside it says, Jason has a problem, Piper has a secret, and Leo has a way with tools. Which is like, just kind of funny. But the story starts off with Jason, who wakes up on this bus. He doesn't know where he's going, he doesn't know who he is, and he's like sitting next to this girl that's supposedly his girlfriend. His best friend is Leo, and he can't remember anything. Like, he took a nap and he forgot everything to do with his whole life. So I think that'll be interesting. They're going to like some boarding school for like juvenile delinquents, which is all Rick Riordan writes about apparently, because Percy Jackson has a lot of issues too.
But they're all kind of like merited, you know?
Yeah, they're minor issues. So I think this should be entertaining. I trust Hallie from the Common Room Shop, and she says this is like a summer series if there ever was one. So I'm gonna try to read these Beastie books.
But I bet you can play through them.
Yeah, I mean, they're middle
They're
grade.
not.
Shouldn't be hard.
Yeah, they're not.
Also right.
They're not anything too great. Okay, I'm just going to talk about these super quickly, and these are all historical fiction books. I feel like I'm missing one, but maybe not. Okay, these first two I was sent by HarperCollins. The first one is Daughters of Paris. This is about two girls that are childhood friends. They're kind of like in different caste systems. One is like the, you know, the wealthy family daughter, and one is like the servant's daughter of, wait, does that make sense? One is the wealthy family's daughter. The other girl is the daughter of the servant that works for the family. Does that make sense?
It makes sense, but it's confusing.
Okay. Anyways, this takes place during like World War II. They're in Germany. I don't know. It's like they get separated and go their different ways in life, and then they come back together somehow. And then this one, I read the first book, which was, oh my gosh, The Red Cross Orphans. And this is the continuation of that book, and it follows a young girl who is a nurse for the Red Cross, and her fellow friends who are also nurses, and her fiance is a doctor in the army, and so they're like separated because the war is still going on. So it just kind of continues their love story, their journey hopefully to get back together. And then we have The Count of Monte Cristo. Now this is, you might be wondering, why is this so small? And that is because I was debating whether to get like the abridged version or the unabridged version, and I was doing some research, and then I learned that Alexander Dumas got paid by the word, and so that's why The Count of Monte Cristo is so long, because he was like trying to stretch it out. So basically someone came and like condensed it into just what you really need to know, and so that's why this version is much smaller, and I think I'm not going to be sad that I decided to go that route. And then we have Mrs. England by Stacey Halls. I read The Familiars 2 years ago, I think, and so I've been trying to get a collection of her other books, and this is about a young girl named Ruby who takes a position looking after a wealthy family's daughter. It kind of gives me like Jane Eyre vibes, because it's like she's caring for this little girl, but she notices that something is like amiss, and there's strange things that happen in this house, and so she's trying to figure that out. So it's like a mystery involved, as well as a historical fiction. Okay, I forgot to mention this, The Wishing Game. This was a book of the month pick for June, and the reason that I decided to go ahead and get this in the middle of the month was because I saw someone say that it was a retelling or like a reimagining of Charlie and the Chocolate Factory, and so that just really piqued my interest. And then there's like, you know, an author story writing competition, I believe, and so I just decided to go ahead and pick this up. And also I'm really excited about the length of it because it's not that big. It's like under 300 pages, I think. So I think I could bust that out in no time. Yeah, the cover is very vibey, and the back has like little stars on it. Okay, now on to romance.
Okay, this is another book we were sent that I actually have read. And this is Love Me Do by Lindsay Kelk. And all you need to know is Emily Henry blurbed it, so you know it's good.
Which is a pretty big claim to fame.
Yeah, I've never heard of this author, but I trust Emily, so I read it immediately, because also the cover is great. And this follows, what's her name? Phoebe. I read this like 2 days ago and I already forgot. Anyways, she is a copywriter for a card company, which I found absolutely hilarious because I currently work at the Hallmark store. So I just work with cards all day long, and she writes what's in the cards.
Oh. Someone needs to do a better job of that
for
in
Hallmark,
life,
for sure.
But
yeah.
Anyways.
So she lives in London, does that. She has a lot of family issues. Her sister, Suzanne, lives in LA. She works for this like huge, some kind of app company. You don't really get a lot of screen time for her sister. So she lands in LA, and her sister's like, sorry, gotta go to Seattle for a meeting. And she's gone like pretty much the whole book except the last 50 pages. So we have Phoebe, who's stuck in LA for the first time by herself. She befriends the handsome neighbor. She befriends this old Hollywood star.
Oh, yeah. Like the holiday.
Yes. Who lives in the neighborhood also. She befriends her sister's personal trainer. And that's her circle. And Belle is in love, she says. Love at first sight with the neighbor. So there's like some
Love triangle, kind of.
Kind of. Phoebe starts to kind of set them up, and as she sets them up more and more, she kind of falls for him herself. And it was so entertaining. They have like this big party at the end at the old Hollywood star's house. It was a good time. I flew through it. Definitely.
Good summer vibes, it
Yes.
sounds like.
I've never been to Hollywood. I've been to Disneyland when I was like 2, but I don't remember. So I love the vibes. It kind of gave me People We Meet on Vacation vibes because that's set in Palm Springs.
Oh. Okay, this book I was sent by HarperCollins as well. I was kind of confused when I got this because the front says Love is in the Air, but the side says Falling Hard for the Royal Guard, which is actually what it's called. Like, that's the real title. So I'm not sure why it's like that on the front. I guess because it is, well, it does say uncorrected proof. But anyways, this book is set in London, obviously. It's about a girl named Maggie who she works at like this historical building in London. She's like the person who people come to buy their tickets to like take this tour, and her whole life is basically revolved around living at this historical site. Her dad is part of like this reenactment group of men. I don't know. So that's very entertaining. But then she like literally bumps into one of the royal guards. They kind of get off to a rocky start, and then I'm assuming she finds out he's like of royalty somehow. Anyways, I have started this, but I haven't finished it. But it was pretty entertaining. Her personality is definitely like, it's pretty funny. Just her inner and outer dialogue is pretty entertaining. So I think this will be a good time. I just need to be in the right mood to finish it.
Okay. Then we have Sarah Adams. We were, if you don't know, in a bit of a phase.
Yeah, it's still ongoing.
Like, what, a month or 2 ago? We made a whole video about Sarah Adams, in case you're wondering, about specifically her win in Nashville.
Yeah, the one in Nashville. The first one
It happened in Nashville series.
But what's the first one called?
The Off Limits Room.
Yes.
And those are like so underrated.
Yeah,
I've never
hear
heard anyone
them.
talk about them.
The only reason we like gravitated towards them was because they were set in Nashville. Like that's why we wanted to pick them up first.
And they're on Kindle Unlimited.
Mhm.
So is her It Happened in Charleston series and her
Regency
yes.
series.
So
So
if
Connor
you need
did
more
one.
Sarah Adams and you think this
This
popular
is it.
book is it, it's
Yeah.
not. Go.
The Regency series is very good as well. Like I'm reading the second one of that and I'm really enjoying it too. But this one is supposedly a spin-off of Roman Holiday, which
I didn't know that.
Yeah, which I'm a pretty big Audrey Hepburn fan, as is Emmalynn. But it actually takes place in Rome, Kentucky, which is also pretty intriguing to me because we used to live on the Tennessee-Kentucky border, so I want to hear more about that. I think there's like, is it a cooking competition? I can't even
She
remember.
is a pop star.
Okay.
And he owns a pie shop. And I thought there was, a competition.
Like, she goes on a show. I don't know. But there's cooking involved. So that's always a good time. And then this one, the thing I like about Sarah Adams' book is her characters overlap into her other books in that series. So, like, these two characters are side characters in this book. And that's how it was for her Nashville series as well. So this one is about a girl named Annie who works at a local flower shop, also in Rome, Kentucky. And then there's, like, this guy who's like a bad boy bodyguard.
He is her bodyguard. She is his sister.
Okay. So there's some connection there.
Mm-hmm.
Like, they all tie in. And I think he's trying to teach her, like, how to date or something. Mm-hmm. And then, obviously, they end
practice makes perfect.
Yeah, they end up falling for each other, I'm sure. And even though, like, in these books, like, what's going to happen at the very end, the journey to get there is very entertaining. Like, it's not, I don't feel like it's super predictable. So I do appreciate that about her. And then this last book, this book just came out, I think, last week, and I got a NetGalley arc of this and then decided I really wanted to just read a physical copy. And if you don't know, Courtney Walsh is a romance author, but she is a Christian author, so all of her romance books are obviously clean. And so this one follows Isadora Bentley, who is a professor. I think she does research also for the university that she works for, and then she decides on her 30th birthday to just, like, do something totally out of character. And so she gets, like, I think it's a magazine article or something of, like, 30 ways to be happy or something. And so she decides she's gonna, like, go through this list of 30 things. And then she meets, like, this other professor man along the way. And so maybe she has to, like, use some of the things on her list and do with him. I don't know. I just know it sounds like a sweet, clean, good time. and that's what I'm here for.
Okay, my last romance book, none other than Happy Place by Emily Henry, of course, which is such a sad book. Do not be deceived. I mean, it's like almost a bittersweet novel. It's about primarily adult friendships in the way, like, your teen friendships move into your adult years and how, things stay the same, how they change. And so it follows this friend group. They take a vacation to Maine every year. This is their last year because the girl it's her dad's house, and he decides he's selling the house. So they come, like, one last time. It's a bit rocky sometimes because they argue about, like, you don't talk to me enough, you're too busy for me. It all comes together in the end. But we also follow Wynn and, oh my gosh, what's her name? I mainly care about Wynn. Harriet. And they were engaged, and they just broke up a few months ago, and they never told any of their friends. So for this vacation, they decide to act like they're still together so that it doesn't ruin the trip, because it's, their last
Awkward,
time.
Yeah.
And so it's like fake dating, but everyone kind of picks up that they're not together anymore, so then they argue about that. In the end, I promise it's a happy ending. But it's a bit of a journey.
This is literally the ugliest cover I think I've ever seen in my life. I'm just gonna preface that with this, okay? This book I was sent by the publisher. It's called Greedy 3 by Karen Catcher. The premise of this book actually sounds really interesting. It does sound pretty dark. It's about a guy that's a kidnapper who is hired to go buy a baby from a human trafficking ring and, like, smuggle this baby across the Canadian border. And then there's a girl that's a teenage runaway who, like, somehow comes across the baby and knows that it's kidnapped, and she takes the money and the baby and runs. And then there's, like, someone who lives in the woods. So I'm guessing, like, all three of them, their paths intersect. Maybe they're all running from the law at some point. I don't know. It sounds like it could be a really good thriller, or it could just be a major flop if we were to judge it on the cover alone. I'm not sure, but I am gonna give it a try. I don't know. I'm trying not to judge it by its cover, but it is hard. And then I was sent this book, which I feel weird even like having in my possession. It's called How to Kill Men and Get Away with It by Katie Brent. I think this book is already out as well. The back says, he was following me, that guy from the nightclub who wouldn't leave me alone. I hadn't intended to kill him, of course, but I wasn't displeased when I did, and despite the mess I made, I appeared to get away with it, and that's where my addiction started.
Oh my gosh.
And what's funny is on the cover, that's, you know, it says How to Kill Men and Get Away with It. At the bottom it says, for legal purposes, a novel. So I guess it's like, so, you know, if this book is sitting out with your belongings, it's not, you know, you're not like really trying to learn how to get away with it, or maybe you are, I don't know. This book, I don't really need to explain what it's about. It's the second book in the Good Girls Guide to Murder trilogy. I read the first one. I need to finish the second one. Emmelynn's read all of them already. And I bought this because I thought Ellie would like get on board, but I don't think she's going to. And then this is the real reason I went ahead and picked up a book of the month for June, was because they added this on, and that is Riley Sager's The Only One Left. I've never read anything by Riley Sager. Emmelynn's read The House Across the Lake, but I don't know, the premise of this just really spoke to me, and it's because it's like about a murder that happened in the past that's like still unsolved. Now this woman is like maybe going to tell her side of it, who is part of it. I don't know. I just really like things about unsolved murders, or like murders that were possibly like someone was convicted of it and now it's going to be overturned because like new evidence has surfaced. I don't know. It sounds really interesting. So I'm excited to read it. That's all of the books we have for this medium-size, mid-size book haul. We want to say thanks to HarperCollins for sending us these books, as well as whoever sent this. I don't even remember who the publisher is, but I am going to give it a chance. It says Podium. Thank you, Podium, for sending this book. I am going to read it, and I will give it a chance, and maybe I'll make a recommendation of what you can change the cover to. Anyways, we hope you enjoyed this video. Maybe you found something you can pick up, and we will see you next time. Bye-bye.